It's time to take command with former NFL tight end Logan Paulson and former Commanders beat reporter Craig Hoffman.
Our guest today is the play-by-play voice of the Commanders for this preseason. Longtime broadcaster in the D.C. area, been covering the team for a long time. Play-by-play in other places as well. We call him Mr. Chick. You might have heard of him, Chick Hernandez. Welcome to Take Command, man.
Do you know the origin of Mr. Chick?
I don't know the origin story of Mr. Chick, but I would love to hear it.
Okay, so Alfred Morris gets drafted, and I'm the first person to get him. I go and get him from his hometown and do a nice interview. You know, I said, I'll see you in a few weeks for OTAs. OTAs happen. We go in the locker room, and you know how the locker room works. We all start to gather. Alfred's got his back to us as he's getting himself prim and proper, and he turns around and looks at me and goes, "Oh, Mr. Chick." And at that point, I looked over at Mike Jones and John Keim and went, "This is not good." I knew it was going to stick from that. I knew it. And as soon as we got out of the locker room, Jonesy's like, "Hey, Mr. Chick." I'm like, "Oh, here we go." And it stuck, you know. It's a nice little, little honor. And I put it on my Twitter handle. Makes more sense. So there's your origin.
That's great. It's also the last interview Alfred Morris ever did.
He did get a little grumpy.
Wasn't psyched to do much by the end. We got one really good interview out of him in 2015 or 2016 because I was doing the show with Santana, and let me tell you, doing the show with Santana Moss has its perks. You sir,
no
though,
question.
Yeah, you sir will be getting to work with a guy that everyone on this podcast is quite familiar with because he's typically here for it. That is Logan Paulson. You guys are on the call. It's you, B. Mitch, and Logan for the call. How do you prepare for play-by-play on a preseason game? Because there's obviously a ton of players. You don't really know how the game flow is going. It's not like the result really matters. So how are you thinking about calling these games over the next couple of weeks?
180 players total. I'm also getting ready for my CBS gig for college football, so I'm getting ready for that game as well, Liberty and La Tech, I think. So I got a lot of names and numbers in my head. But the way this goes, and it's great that I have these two guys, and B. Mitch and Logan, because I know B. Mitch can tell a story, and his story of him coming into the league and never having returned a punt or a kick in his life until the NFL, and where he should be a future Hall of Famer now, is that story alone is worth the price of admission. And Logan's story as well. And Logan has taken the bull by the horns when it comes to the prep, right, and the intel on a team. And that's huge. I love listening to him, and we have to figure out a way that both those guys can get their points across. But as you said, I mean, the outcome of the game is not the biggest deal. We're looking to see who is getting their name called, and off of that, when the fourth string is in and they're trying to make a squad, and we've got to tell some stories, well, then I can lean on those two guys who've been there, done that. And the fact that I work with B. Mitch for 14 years gives me a little bit of background for him. And Logan and I have spent a few minutes here and there together. We just got finished, having a coaches meeting and gleaned some stuff from them for the broadcast. So it's just about storytelling and perspective from those two. I'm trying to get out of the way. I mean, I literally am just going to call the play and get out of the way. And what's going to be interesting is B. Mitch is in the booth and Logan's on the field. Historically, that position's been an interview person. He will take care of interviews, but we really want him incorporated into the color analysis of it. So that's going to be interesting to see how that works between him and B. Mitch, because visually we can't see him. So our producer's got to be really good on Logan's got something and let him go. So it'll be fun. And we only got 2 games, unfortunately, because they made the Ravens game a Monday nighter. So ESPN took that. But this will be fun, man. And being out at camp, there's a bunch of great young talent out there that are doing some things. the vibe, the atmosphere is completely flipped 180 from the last 24 years.
Yeah, the atmosphere is going to be different. I'm actually curious, like, what do you think? Like, I know the Arizona game week 1 is going to be nuts. Like, it's going to be sold out. FedEx is going to be awesome. What do you think? And obviously, that's not this week, but when they eventually get to FedEx Field, like, what do you think the preseason vibe will be at FedEx Field? Will that also be a big deal, or will that just be a warm-up act?
I think it'll be a big deal. The fan base has been starving for positivity out of this organization, and with the ownership change and what the Josh Harris and company, what they've done, even in their short time as the ownership group, shaking hands and small things like this is gonna sound funny, but providing ice cream for media. Okay, I mean it's a small little thing, but that's like, hey, someone thought about us on a 99-degree day. Okay, that would never have taken place in the previous 24 years. I hate to bring that up, but that's the way it is.
Sure.
So I think the fan base. I said it. The fan base is going to come back. They left. I mean, they flat out left because they were ticked off at having to spend 2 paychecks and a horrible product. They're going to get a better bang for their buck coming back to FedEx Field, and they're excited. So I think the fan base is gonna be back, and that in turn for the guys who've been here, done that with the burgundy and gold, they're gonna see a difference as well. Which you can't fake energy, right? And they're gonna provide that, and I think it's gonna be cool to watch for sure.
For sure. We'll get to the football in a second. Last question on this though, because I'm curious. Like, this is a team-produced broadcast. Like, that's how all the preseason broadcasts work. We know B. Mitch is going to be honest anytime, anywhere. Both of us that know you know that you're going to be honest. But there's let me be as brutal as I can be, but also professional. Like there's a slider there. As you guys prepare for this game, the first game of the Josh Harris era, is that on the topic list to talk about at some point during the game?
I haven't seen that. I mean, we've been given a list of the B-rolls, the videos that of players and stuff. I know me. And we haven't been told to not talk about any topic. So, I mean, we were talking about in our pre-production meeting. I mean, the first thing out of my mouth is going to be brand new day. It's a brand new day. It's a brand new vibe, ownership group. So it's going to be discussed. And we don't have to disparage the previous owner. All we got to do is talk about, because that's what fans don't care anymore. Fans want to talk about what's coming. And that's the flat out truth. So there's been, it's a team produced broadcast. And I'm sure, if someone's having a horrible game, we might be lighter. I'm not sure B. Mitch would be, but I don't have to be. I can just call the action, right? I can just call the action. But no, they've given us, free reign to do what we're going to do. And I think they certainly hired the 2 former players, who are very honest. Me, it's simple. I'm honored that I got asked to do it. I'm excited about it. And for a kid who grew up in Silver Spring, Maryland, to call the hometown franchise's preseason games, which I did before for a few years with Joe Theismann. But that was a different regime, and there were some edicts handed down. There's no edicts with this one.
So the football. Obviously, Sam Howell is the story with kind of 1A, 1B with the offensive line. They're very related. But is there anything in particular that you look for in Howell, or that after your conversations with the coaches that they're looking for in Howell that we should be looking for as we watch you guys on Friday?
I think it's just for Sam Howell, it's decision-making and consistency. Simple as that. Just, if you make the right decision, it's okay if you make a mistake, but they want to see the right decision made on a consistent basis. That's what they're looking for from Sam Howell. That's what anybody is looking for from the QB1, is to have that. He has made strides from OTAs to now. Coach is very happy with what he's done. It's funny because we document training camp, or you guys document training camp. And when it's put on Twitter, oh, he threw 2 picks today. It really, for the coaching staff, for Eric Bieniemy and company, they're looking with the picks made out of a poor decision or just trying to force the ball in someplace. And so it's consistency for Sam Howell, and I would expect to see him in that first quarter, certainly starting the game. And if things go well, I don't think you see him for long.
That's interesting. And the other thing too, Chick, is like I wonder if you guys got to talk about this with the coaches. Like, typically when you have a joint practice with a team, you do not actually play the players a ton in that game. So, right, they'll play Baltimore, or they'll have the joints with Baltimore, and then they'll play the game. And you would imagine that most of the work happens for the starters in the actual practices, not in that game. And then Ron already said, we're not going to play them a ton in that third and final preseason game. So how much do you expect to see, and how much, both like how much do you expect, and then you're a man with opinions and you're allowed to have them. How much should we see these guys, and specifically a guy like Howell who does need the reps, does need the experience, or at least it seems that he would based off the fact that he doesn't have it from previous years.
Yeah, it's amazing to me. When I first came up, there was 6 preseason games, and then it was 4. Yeah, 6. I see your face. Right?
I actually didn't know that was a thing.
There was a 6 preseason game. This is long time ago. And then it went to 4, and it was like, oh, they're cutting down to 4, and now it's down to 3. I would expect to see Sam Howell for the first quarter. Like I said, if things go really, really well, it won't be the first quarter. What I'd like to see is him play the first quarter.
Thanks for watching this clip of Take Command. First, why don't you like it? It lets other people know that it was good, and then they should watch it too. And Logan, we have a new exclusive home for full episodes.
We do. 1067 The Fans YouTube page. Go check it out and please subscribe.
Yeah, do what Logan said.
Do it.
Very, very smart.